So I'm doing the column. Obviously, it's been labeled 7, 9, and 11, so we'll look at that. There's a couple different things you can do. When the parentheses around the whole thing, you may want to reduce this thing first. Keep in mind that that 2's out there, but we'll get to that later. 2 goes into 4 twice. And x, you only have a single x down here to the first power, and you have 5 of them there. So cancel this guy, knock that down to x to the 4th power. Here you have more y's on the bottom, so you cancel both of these y's here, leaving you with only y to the 3rd on the bottom, and that z is to the 1st. Now, we can get in trouble if we lose track of what's going on, so let me rewrite this. That's a 2, that's an x to the 4th power. The y is gone, so that's just a z on top. But the y is gone because it's left on the bottom here. You got y cubed. Now, if you've done all that, and you remember that you still got to square this, it's a much easier problem to have to square. Everything gets really big if you don't reduce it first. So you have a 4, which is 2 squared. Then you have an x to the 8th power, because you multiply the exponents when you raise to the power, and then you have z squared over. And this is going to be y to the 6th power because you're multiplying there. I think I'm going to go down this way. You can't reduce this ahead of time like we did before because the parenthesis is only around the bottom. So we're going to square the bottom only, and then we'll work on reducing that other stuff later. So 5 squared is 25. We'll get to that in a second. Maybe I'll just move this down here a little lower. 25. And I've got x to the negative 2 because I'm squaring that, multiplying that times that. I got y to the negative 4, and then I've got z squared. I'm going to rewrite the numerator as is because nothing is changing there yet. And then I got y to the negative 2. Oh, and I got a z. Okay. Now, we're going to look at these first because you got a 5 over 25, and that reduces to 1 over 5. So I know I'm going to have at least a 1 on top and at least a 5 on the bottom, and it might just be that unless other things don't cancel. Negative exponents need to be moved most cases, okay? I move that up. What does it become? It becomes an x plus, or x to the positive 2nd power. So I'm going to adjust that accordingly. So I have an x to the 6th power up top. And then I've got this situation where I've got negatives in both cases. I'm going to suggest you don't have to move both of them. Just move the bigger one because it's going to overpower the other one when it gets there. Plop that up there. It becomes a plus 4 on your y exponent. So you have a y to the negative 2nd, but plus 4, that's going to leave you with y to the 2nd power. Okay, so you moved it up. It became power. You could also move this to the bottom, right? You're just moving a lot of extra stuff. So you have a 4 on top and a 2 on the bottom. It would reduce to y squared still. You're only z here, and you have 2 of them down here. So this is going to cancel with one of these, leaving us with just a z on the bottom. And so that's kind of the fraction we're looking at there. This one here, a negative exponent, simply means flip everything upside down. Okay? If you do that, well, the one thing you can reduce, and I'll show you, I reduced it first up here. I'm not going to reduce here, and I'll show you what happens. First thing I would suggest, 6y cubed over 3x squared. I would definitely not try and square in the midst of it. Just keep yourself from making silly mistakes along the way. Now I'm going to square. 6 squared is 36. Y cubed squared is y to the 6th power. And on the bottom, I've got 3 squared, which is 9. And I've got x squared squared, which is x to the 4th power. So these guys are not compatible, but these guys can be reduced. 36 over 9 becomes 4 on top, so you got a 4 y to the 6th over x to the 4th. Now let me just show you what could have happened. If I reduce this thing first and said that's a 1 over 2, and that means this 2 would be on top and this would be a 1, that 2 squared is what would give me that 4. So you'll end up with, and the fact that this is a 1 squared would still be a 1, you wouldn't have anything down there. So you can reduce it first if you can reduce the stuff inside the parentheses and then raise the power, or you can do it after the fact.